Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw, like every single week, the show sucked tonight. The show was absolutely nauseating. It was boring. It was hard to sit through, in my opinion. I can say that about every week, how the show is. Every single week, the show is hard to sit through. The show absolutely fucking sucked tonight. The show is nothing but rematches after rematches after rematches. Every single week. It's like WWE does not care to put effort into making the show better, but, this is Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. We're like, oh yeah, we gave the fans that match last week. Let's give it to them this week. And let's just call it, original. That's what I think goes on in the minds of Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard every single week. Well, let's give the fans another rematch because this is such good shit. Awful. It's absolutely fucking awful. But what do we get tonight? The whole show revolved around Bobby Lashley issuing an open challenge for anyone to face him. So it was revolved around that. We had the women's tag team titles on the line tonight. Natalya and Tamina end up defending them against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Oh, how original. How many times does this make? The 1,000th time that we've seen them go at it? Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. We saw it once again. It's another match that we've seen a lot of times. Damian Priest versus John Morrison in a Lumberjack match. Which, the Miz end up facing Damian Priest last night in a Lumberjack match at WrestleMania Backlash, which I did not watch the show last night. But I heard it was a pretty decent show. But then I saw a photo of this Lumberjack match, and they get guys dressed up as zombies, and they're attacking the Miz. And I know that was a promotion. They did it as a promotion for Batista's new movie, Army of the Dead. And I'm like, really? You get zombies to attack the Miz? How fucking original is that? Awful. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? When I saw the photo of that. Awful. So, before I start the review, I just want to touch up on a little news that I read today revolving around Monday Night Raw. One of them is I knew that it was going to happen because we're so used to hearing this in the news, and the last one is one that I'm like, why are they doing it? So, but the first article that I read that I want to touch on from Monday Night Raw was tonight's Raw. They were still writing the show, and that there was a lot of creative changes for the show. And this is coming from Ringside News. And, the show was rewritten. And this is according to PW Insider, but I'm reading this off of Ringside News. It was saying that there's been a ton of rewriting for the show. There was a ton of rewriting for the show tonight. And that there wasn't a completed show as of 5:30. And when I read that, I'm like, oh, here we go, another disaster Monday Night Raw it's going to be. Because we all know about the rewrites. This is not the first time that we heard of them rewriting the show. I mean, the only thing that they announced for Monday Night Raw tonight was Alexa's Playground with Natalya and Tamina being on there. That was all that was announced. Everything else, they did not even announce what we were going to see on the show tonight. That was the only thing that WWE promoted was the Alexa's Playground. and Natalya and Tamina being on it. So, but we're so used to hearing about, the rewrites, Vince McMahon changing up the scripts, not liking what is presented to him at points. He tells the creative writers to rewrite it, but do it in his own vision of what he wants the show to be. So that was the first news. I mean, like I said, we're all used to seeing articles that come out about how Monday Night Raw, or sometimes even SmackDown, has to be rewritten because Vince McMahon doesn't like a thing here and there in the script. Another thing that I want to talk about, the last thing, is that WWE is gearing up to going back on the road traveling. They said that they want to bring fans back in July, and it's going to start with the SmackDown on July 16th. So the July 16th edition of SmackDown, they're going to start having fans again in attendance, which I am looking forward to. It was cool seeing the fans at WrestleMania for those 2 nights. So, it's going to be cool seeing the fans back, each and every week. Because having the fans there, it brings energy to the shows. But with this article here, I'm like, why? Why are WWE doing this? Because apparently WWE is gearing up to introduce new sets, new entrance sets for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. So I'm like, you're giving a new set for Monday Night Raw. You're giving a new set, you change the commentary, and they were like, oh, things are going to set for a refresh soon. The whole Monday Night Raw show needs a refresh. From the creative writers to, the booking, it just needs a refresh. It's the same shit every single week with rematch after rematch after rematch. And I'm like, oh, WWE, they could give it a new set, but yet they can't do nothing with the creative writers or people who book the show each and every week. But they could give new sets. It's a fucking joke. It's an absolute fucking joke. Yeah, getting new sets and changing up the commentary team for Monday Night Raw, yeah, that's going to make the show better. No. It's not going to it didn't make the show any better. Having a new set for Monday Night Raw, it's not going to make the show any better. The show needs a complete refresh. So, let's get on with the review. So, Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley ended up coming out of his locker room, and we had women come out of the locker room with him. It was like Bobby Lashley was the Godfather. And I'm surprised that Bobby Lashley didn't say, like the Godfather when he always said, the Ho Train. I'm surprised Bobby Lashley didn't say, oh, here is the Almighty Train. I'm surprised Bobby Lashley didn't even say that. But then Bobby Lashley ended up coming out to the ring. MVP was there. So we had a video package on Bobby Lashley defeating Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre last night at WrestleMania Backlash. Bobby Lashley won. Of course, ended up retaining the WWE Championship. So we saw a video package of that. So then when the video package was over, MVP was on the mic. MVP ended up saying that he told Bobby Lashley that he had some surprises for him tonight. So MVP was referring to the woman that Bobby Lashley was with. So MVP ended up saying that Braun Strowman is suffering from broken ribs and that Drew McIntyre was too beat up to get out of bed this morning. MVP wanted to say that Bobby Lashley did everything he did while injured. So Lashley ended up showing us his knuckles. His knuckles were swollen because he made a fist. And like I said, his knuckles were shown swollen. MVP ended up saying that Lashley's knuckles are swollen from pounding the faces of both Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman. So then Bobby Lashley got on the mic. Lashley ended up saying that the almighty era never ends. So MVP ended up saying that we are witnessing it. MVP wanted to say that Bobby Lashley was supposed to have the night off, but they are issuing an open challenge for anyone who wants to face. So then Drew McIntyre ended up coming out. Drew McIntyre ended up coming into the ring, and he was saying how Bobby Lashley is this fighting champion. So Drew McIntyre ended up accepting Bobby Lashley's open challenge. So MVP was like, no. And he ended up saying that the open challenge is for anyone in the locker room. Anybody in the locker room could face Bobby Lashley, except for Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman. So MVP ended up telling McIntyre to get to the back of the line. So then Lashley and McIntyre were fighting. McIntyre ended up knocking Lashley out. Lashley ended up going out to the floor, and the women were screaming because of Lashley and McIntyre going at it. So MVP and Lashley were yelling from ringside at Drew McIntyre. MVP was telling McIntyre to get to the back of the line. And that was that. Yeah, same shit. You know, it's WWE wants the WWE Championship so badly to go back on Drew McIntyre. I think at Hell in a Cell, it's going to be Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, and the WWE Championship is going back on Drew McIntyre. Bobby Lashley's reign as WWE Champion so far has been terrible. And then we had AJ Styles versus Elias. So Styles ended up coming out with Omos. Elias ended up coming out next with Jackson Ryker. And the match was okay in my opinion. So Elias ended up working on Styles. Styles ended up delivering a drop kick to Elias. Styles was going to hit a suplex to Elias, but Elias ended up blocking it. And Elias ended up delivering a suplex to Styles. Styles ended up finding out of the corner, started beating Elias into the opposite side of the corner. Styles ended up taking Elias to another corner in the ring. So Styles ended up hitting the backbreaker to Elias. Elias started beating Styles down. The referee ended up backing Elias away from Styles. Elias ended up doing a drop kick to Styles into the lower part of the ring post. So we had Elias end up bringing Styles in, and he ended up dropping Styles face first into the apron. Elias then ended up bringing Styles back in. The referee was counting. Elias then delivered a clothesline to Styles, which knocked Styles over the top rope, out to the floor. And at the end of the match, Elias ended up sending Styles to the apron. Styles ended up rocking Elias with a forearm. Styles was looking to finish Elias, but Jackson Ryker ended up pulling Styles off the apron, which caused a disqualification. So Styles ended up winning the match by disqualification. Post-match, Omos ended up backing Jackson Ryker up the ramp. Elias ended up sending Styles over the ring steps. Elias ended up stomping on Styles at ringside. And Omos ended up coming back down the ramp. Elias then retreated, wanted nothing to do with Omos. And so that was that. Overall, it was an okay match, in my opinion. So then we had the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. They were backstage along with Matt Riddle. Randy Orton was there, and he was told to be there so Adam Pearce could speak to him. Of course, Adam Pearce wasn't there. Matt Riddle ended up saying to them that they had such a good time last week, and even though it ended bad, they could make this a four-way group, and that Randy Orton should apologize for what he did. Orton ended up saying to Matt Riddle, "Oh, that's not going to happen," and that he's not sorry. So Kofi then warned Matt Riddle that he will end up on the receiving end of an RKO if he's not careful. So Kofi ended up challenging Randy Orton to a match. So that was that. Matt Riddle was going to speak to Randy Orton, but Orton ended up hushing him. So there you go. That was that. So there we go. We had Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston later on in the night. And then we had Alexa's Playground. Alexa Bliss was backstage with Lily. Alexa Bliss ended up saying that they're excited because they have two new friends come to play with them. And it was Natalya and Tamina, the women's tag team champions. So Natalya was on a swing and Tamina was just standing there. Natalya ended up talking about how proud they are of their win and how tough it was for her and Tamina beating Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. So Alexa Bliss ended up saying that Lily wants to know what's their favorite color. Natalya ended up saying, "Oh, my favorite color is probably pink." So Tamina then ended up saying that her favorite color is black and blue, which she said will look great on Alexa Bliss's face if she tries anything weird. So Alexa Bliss was like, "Oh, that's not very nice." And that she's lucky that Lily really likes the both of them. She ended up saying that Lily really liked how Tamina beat Reginald up a few weeks ago. I'm not sure that we all like that. I mean, Reginald should not even be in the women's division. So Tamina ended up mentioning how she has no problem swatting Reginald again if he tries anything. Boy, I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want to see Tamina and Reginald at it again. So Alexa Bliss ended up saying about how Lily is collecting wings of dead bugs and other body parts. So Natalya and Tamina were weirded out. They end up walking off. Alexa Bliss is just rambling about Lily. So Alexa Bliss ended up wishing Natalya and Tamina good luck. She ended up saying that she and Lily will be watching. So now we had the distorted Firefly Funhouse music play, and that was that. But where are they going with Alexa Bliss and Lily? Who knows? I mean, it's the same thing every single week. I feel like this whole Alexa Bliss thing is going nowhere, in my opinion. So then we had Angel Garza versus Drew Gulak once again. Same shit. Match started off with Gulak nailing a drop kick to Angel Garza in the corner. Gulak ended up going to work on Angel Garza, ended up applying a abdominal stretch to Angel Garza. Garza ended up fighting out of it, ended up slamming Gulak. Garza delivered a running clothesline from the corner to Drew Gulak and delivered another clothesline. Garza ended up winning the match, delivered the wing clipper to Drew Gulak, and that was that. Angel Garza ended up winning. Post-match, Garza ended up walking over to the corner. He ended up grabbing one of his roses. Garza then kneeled down over Drew Gulak, started taunting him. He ends up taking the rose, snaps it in half. He snaps the rose in half, and Garza then ends up shoving the rose down Drew Gulak's throat. So that was that. But same shit. And then we had R-Truth backstage. R-Truth was hiding backstage. He's a Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 champion. And I'm like, we haven't seen the 24/7 title in 2 months. And I was like, oh, thank God we haven't seen this jobber, ugly looking title for 2 months. And I'm like, oh, I hope they keep it off TV a lot longer. Tonight came, and when I saw R-Truth there and the 24/7 title, I'm like, no! Oh, God, can they please retire this title? I keep on saying it again and again and again. The 24/7 title is completely irrelevant. What does WWE try to do for the 24/7 title? Oh, let's just put on R-Truth. Let's just make him the longest running 24/7 champion. In my opinion, that's what this belt was made for. This belt was made for R-Truth. We should just call it the R-Truth title instead of the 24/7 title. Please, we need to get this title off of television. Please retire it. It was good not seeing it for a whole 2 months. So Kevin Patrick was there. He was trying to get an interview with R-Truth. R-Truth didn't recognize Kevin Patrick, and he thought that Kevin Patrick was hiding from another superstar. R-Truth ended up saying that he has to keep a low profile because he heard there was an open challenge for his title. So Kevin Patrick ended up informing R-Truth that the open challenge is for the WWE Championship. It's the open challenge that Bobby Lashley ended up announcing. So R-Truth ended up talking to Kevin Patrick. Akira Tozawa was shown behind R-Truth. Akira Tozawa comes over. He ends up rolling up R-Truth from behind. And Akira Tozawa wins the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. Who cares? Who fucking cares? Get this fucking 24/7 title off TV and retired. The title is irrelevant. It was nice seeing it off of TV for 2 months. But that didn't make Monday Night Raw better. Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston. This was a pretty okay match here. Randy Orton ended up coming out. Matt Riddle then appeared next to him. Matt Riddle was riding on his scooter. So Randy Orton ended up coming to the ring. Matt Riddle then joined him in the ring. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from commercial, we saw Eva Marie, the Evolution vignette that aired last week. Eva Marie, she's very nauseating to look at every week. She delivers a vignette. So after that vignette with Eva Marie that we saw last week, where they're just rehashing the same vignette every single week, Orton was shown pacing around the ring. And then out came Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. So the match ended up starting. Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston ended up going at it. Orton ended up taking Kofi down with a headlock. Orton ended up dropping Kofi with a shoulder. Kofi ended up leaping up, and he ended up hitting Orton's face with his hip. So Kofi ended up following Randy Orton. Orton ended up fighting Kofi off. Randy Orton then ended up bringing Kofi back into the ring. Kofi ended up nailing a arm drag. went for a cover. Orton kicked out at 2. So Orton was stomping on Kofi's leg, started taunting him. Orton went for the cover. Kofi ended up kicking out at 2. So later on, Kofi ended up nailing a missile dropkick to Orton. Orton was clutching his shoulder from the dropkick from Kofi Kingston. Kofi was just delivering some strikes to Randy Orton. And Kofi ended up taking advantage of the match because Xavier Woods was playing Francesca at ringside, the trombone, which distracted Randy Orton. So Kofi ended up taking advantage of it, and Kofi ended up rolling Randy Orton from behind. So there you go. Kofi Kingston ended up winning the match. Post-match, Matt Riddle ended up coming into the ring. He was trying to calm Randy Orton down. Orton wanted to go at Kofi Kingston, but Matt Riddle ended up holding Orton back. So Matt Riddle was having some words with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. And Randy Orton ended up making his way out of the ring, made his exit out of the ring. So Matt Riddle ended up following Orton, but he ended up turning around. He ended up shoving Xavier Woods to the mat. So that was that. But overall, the match was okay with Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston. So then we had Naomi, Lana, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke. They were in the back with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. And these women were arguing about who deserves the next shot at the women's tag team titles. So then, lo and behold, WWE's favorite blonde woman, the one that we all say she's overrated because she is, and the one who we can't stand to see on TV every single week, you all know who that is, Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair ended up interrupting, and she ended up saying that all these women have had a million chances and blown them all. So Sonya Deville ended up saying they will figure out who is next in line after the title match, which was the next match. So Charlotte ended up excusing Naomi, Lana, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke because she had to discuss something with Charlotte. So Charlotte was there with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. Charlotte ended up saying that she should be getting a one-on-one match for the Raw Women's Championship, not a triple threat. So Adam Pearce ended up saying that he understands that Charlotte was disappointed about last night. He ended up asking why should she get a singles shot for the title. Charlotte ended up saying that she was not pinned last night. So Sonya Deville ended up saying that she understands where Charlotte's coming from and says if she can beat Asuka tonight, she can get her shot. So then Pearce ended up saying, all right, that's fair. So Rhea Ripley ends up coming, and Rhea Ripley ended up taunting Charlotte. Rhea Ripley ended up coming there to tell Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville that she's ready for some new competition because Charlotte is nothing but yesterday's news. So Charlotte ended up promising that she will be the new Raw Women's Champion when her and Rhea Ripley face off. Please, we don't want to see that again. We don't want to see Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley again. So Rhea Ripley ended up saying that she will be watching Asuka versus Charlotte from ringside, just in case the Queen falls from her throne. So that was that. So we had Charlotte versus Asuka once again later on in the night. Which I'm already going to say, it's the same shit, nothing different that happened in that match. So now we had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler getting their rematch for the women's tag team titles. Did not care about this match. Horrible match, in my opinion. So we had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler out there with Reginald. There was a point where Alexa Bliss was on the stage with Lily, and she was laughing. There's a point where Reginald was on the ring step, and a explosion happened at the top of the ring, which led to Reginald flying off of the ring steps. So that distraction led to Natalya coming in, and Natalya and Tamina end up hitting the heart attack on Shayna Baszler. So Tamina and Natalya end up winning the match, retaining the women's tag team titles. And once again, Shayna Baszler is pinned. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. I mean, can we get Shayna Baszler away from Nia Jax, please? Man, I really miss NXT Shayna Baszler. With WWE putting Shayna Baszler with Nia Jax, man, her momentum has gone way downhill after they paired her with Nia Jax. Shayna Baszler needs to get away from Nia Jax and go back to being that hard-hitting, don't give a shit, about anything, and just being up, woman. We need that tough Shayna Baszler like we saw in NXT. We need that again. But post-match, Natalya and Tamina were celebrating the ring. Nia Jax ended up checking on Reginald at ringside, and all we heard was the echoing around the Thunderdome of Lily laughing. The hee. That's all we heard was Lily's laugh. But boring match. Then we had Sheamus versus Ricochet. So Sheamus ended up coming out. Sheamus was furious, and Sheamus ended up ordering Ricochet to bring his ass out and return his hat and jacket, or else he's coming back there after him. So Ricochet was there. Sarah Schreiber ended up interviewing Ricochet. So we saw a video of how Ricochet ended up attacking Sheamus last night at WrestleMania Backlash. Ricochet was dancing around in the ring with Sheamus's hat and jacket. So we saw that. Ricochet ended up saying that he had fun. And his point was to go out and smack Sheamus in the mouth. But he ended up saying that the real fun will come when he shuts Sheamus up forever. So Sarah Schreiber ended up asking Ricochet about Sheamus just now accusing Ricochet of stealing his hat and jacket. So Ricochet then stepped away, and he came back, and he was wearing Sheamus's hat and his jacket. Ricochet ended up saying that he had to take it because of the look on Sheamus's face last night. So Ricochet ended up doing a pretty okay impression of Sheamus. So he ended up walking off to the ring. Sheamus was pissed off in the ring. So then Ricochet ended up coming out. Ricochet, of course, still wearing Sheamus's hat and jacket. Sheamus then charged up the ramp. Ricochet ended up taking him down on the stage. So both Ricochet and Sheamus were in the ring. The bell ended up ringing. Ricochet ended up attacking Sheamus, started fighting Sheamus into the corner. Sheamus then shoved Ricochet right down, but Ricochet ended up nailing a kick for a quick pin attempt on Sheamus. Sheamus ended up dropping Ricochet with a shot. Sheamus then unloaded on Ricochet, started beating Ricochet into the opposite corner. Sheamus then ended up scooping Ricochet and slamming him to the mat. Ricochet got back up, started fighting back. Sheamus then put him down. Ricochet then was shown jumping on Sheamus's back. but Sheamus ended up tossing Ricochet across the ring. Sheamus then slapped Ricochet around as he tried to get back up from the mat. So there was a point where Ricochet ended up doing a Spanish fly off the top, which looked really crazy. That was really cool to see, Ricochet do the Spanish fly off the top. There was a point where Sheamus ended up tossing Ricochet over the barricade into the timekeeper's area, which you could tell Ricochet was in pain by that when Sheamus ended up tossing him over the barricade into the timekeeper's area. You could tell that Ricochet looked like he landed hard. So at the end of the match, you had a point where Sheamus ended up delivering a pump kick to Ricochet. Sheamus went for the cover, which the referee looked like he botched it because he counted 1, 2, 3, but I guess Ricochet got his arm up, and they were confused. The referee and Sheamus were confused over Ricochet kicking out. So then Sheamus ended up grabbing Ricochet by his mouth, started yelling at Ricochet. So Ricochet slapped Sheamus. Sheamus came back and delivered a bro kick to Ricochet. So there you go. Sheamus ended up winning the match. Post-match, Ricochet was on the outside. Sheamus got on the mic. And Sheamus ended up telling Bobby Lashley to keep his eye on his own title because he might answer that open challenge later on tonight. So that was that. But overall, this was a good match between Sheamus and Ricochet, in my opinion. And then we had T-Bar and Mace backstage. WWE is still calling T-Bar and Mace, Dominic Dijakovic and Dio Madden by still their Retribution names. Can we get rid of their names and start calling them by Dio Madden and Dominic Dijakovic? Please. They don't have the mask no more. Retribution is no more. So why are we still keeping their names of T-Bar and Mace? So both of them, they end up cutting a promo on Bobby Lashley's open challenge. They end up mentioning how Bobby Lashley previously paid his debt. And they wonder which one will end his legacy. So that was that. So either of them could be in the open challenge for Bobby Lashley. So then we had Asuka versus Charlotte Flair for the 1,000th time. Nothing different in this match. We've seen it before with the both of them. Rhea Ripley was out there at ringside watching the match. There was a point where Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, they were mouthing off. Rhea Ripley was shown saying to Charlotte that she is a loser, that Charlotte's a loser. We had Asuka end up going back first at ringside, and we had Charlotte end up saying a few more words to Rhea Ripley. Charlotte ended up kicking Rhea Ripley off the apron, and Asuka tried to put Charlotte away. Charlotte came back and locked in the figure 4 on Asuka. Asuka then countered the figure 4 from Charlotte, and Asuka ended up rolling up Charlotte for the win. And there you go. Asuka ended up winning the match. So Charlotte doesn't get that opportunity at the Raw Women's Championship. So, there you go. But overall, same match from the both of them that we have seen before. Nothing special. And then we saw John Morrison backstage. Kevin Patrick ended up stopping John Morrison, and Kevin Patrick ended up asking him if he can even attempt to explain what happened last night in the Lumberjack match between The Miz and Damian Priest. John Morrison ended up saying that when he tries to explain what happened to The Miz, it feels like someone is picking at his brain, like something is rotten inside. Morrison went on to say that he doesn't think the Lumberjacks have visited a dentist or washed in some time. He was referring to the zombies who are the Lumberjacks. Morrison ended up saying that Miz might never be the same, and he's dedicating the Lumberjack match that he's going to have with Damian Priest to the Miz. Morrison went on to say that he loves the Miz wherever he is. So that was that. But not only did we see the Lumberjack match last night with the Miz, we got it again tonight. Only it was John Morrison in it versus Damian Priest. So we had the Lumberjacks surround the ring. We saw Mace, T-Bar. We saw the Viking Raiders. We saw Akira Tozawa, Lucha House Party, Lince Dorado, Grand Metalik. Hell, even Titus O'Neil was out there. We saw Mansoor, Mustafa Ali, and Nikki Cross was out there. It's been a while since we've seen Nikki Cross on WWE television. She hasn't been used, which I don't know why they're not using Nikki Cross. She's a very talented wrestler. She's a very talented woman wrestler. But she was the only female that was one of the Lumberjacks out there. So it was good to see Nikki Cross again on TV. But this match was terrible, in my opinion. Damian Priest ended up winning the match. He ended up hit the lights on John Morrison. There you go. Damian Priest ended up winning the match. So post-match, Damian Priest was on the stage with Sarah Schreiber. Damian Priest was speaking in Spanish. He started dismissing John Morrison. So Sarah Schreiber ended up asking, what's next for Damian Priest? So Damian Priest ended up teasing that he might answer Bobby Lashley's open challenge tonight. So that was that. But we didn't get no zombies tonight, which that was good. We didn't see that shit that I saw in the picture last night, you know, with the zombies attacking the Miz. Thank God we didn't get that. Oh, with John Morrison. So then we saw a new vignette from Eva Marie, Evolution, nauseating. And then we saw Kevin Patrick backstage with Shelton Benjamin. Kevin Patrick ended up bringing up to Shelton Benjamin Cedric Alexander. And Shelton ended up telling Kevin Patrick that he doesn't want to waste time on Cedric. He ended up saying that he wants to talk about answering Bobby Lashley's open challenge. So then Cedric Alexander ended up interrupting. He was congratulating Shelton Benjamin on finally challenging Bobby Lashley. Cedric went on to say that Shelton Benjamin got a fluke win over him last week. And he now thinks he can challenge Bobby Lashley. So Cedric ended up going on. He ended up saying that Shelton Benjamin will always be worthless. So Shelton Benjamin ended up hitting Cedric Alexander in the mouth. So that was that. But, you know, Cedric going on to say that Shelton Benjamin will be worthless. Both you and Shelton Benjamin will be in catering. We'll be back in catering. So then we had the main event. Bobby Lashley's open challenge. So Bobby Lashley came out along with MVP. And I gotta say, this was a waste of time, in my opinion. This whole Bobby Lashley's open challenge was a waste of time. And I will tell you why. So MVP was in the ring. He was asking who will step up and answer Bobby Lashley's open challenge. And so here's why this was a waste of time. Who answered Bobby Lashley's open challenge? Kofi Kingston. Yes, Kofi Kingston. The guy who had a match with Randy Orton earlier in the night accepted Bobby Lashley's open challenge. Talk about a waste of time. It couldn't be Sheamus. It couldn't be Mace or T-Bar or Damian Priest. Or hell, Keith Lee. Keith Lee hasn't been on WWE television for months now. And yet they go with Kofi Kingston. So Kofi wrestled twice in one night. He faced Bobby Lashley here, and he faced Randy Orton earlier in the night. Sorry, this was a waste of time. So we had MVP end up interrupting from the ring apron, and he ended up saying that he and Bobby Lashley never said anything about the WWE Championship being on the line in this open challenge. He ended up saying that Adam Pearce isn't here to make it a title match, and that Kofi Kingston isn't worthy of being in the ring to challenge Bobby Lashley. So MVP was like, good luck. So WWE did the old bait and switch here. That's not the first time that WWE has done that. But this was a waste of time. I mean, it could have gone to anybody else that wanted to step up to Bobby Lashley's open challenge. Like I said, Sheamus, Maso T-Bar, or Damian Priest. Hell, it could have even been a Keith Lee, like I said. But no, we got Kofi Kingston. So the match ended with Drew McIntyre coming out of nowhere. Drew McIntyre then grabbed MVP's cane and decked Bobby Lashley with it. And it allowed Kofi Kingston to roll up Bobby Lashley for the win. And there you go. Kofi Kingston ended up winning the match thanks to Drew McIntyre. Post-match, MVP and Bobby Lashley were in the ring. They were yelling at Drew McIntyre and the New Day. Lashley was taunting them by raising the WWE Championship. And that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Complete waste of time Bobby Lashley's open challenge was. Overall, Monday Night Raw was an awful show tonight. Just absolutely terrible, boring. But without a doubt, Drew McIntyre will be the WWE Champion again, come Hell in a Cell. I think at Hell in a Cell, Drew McIntyre is going to be winning the title back. Because, like I said earlier, Bobby Lashley's WWE title run has been terrible. Absolutely terrible. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and there will be no AEW Dynamite review on Wednesday. It'll probably be up on Friday, so of course another double upload Friday for you guys. So until then, see you all later.